Hello again, welcome to PaintersBlock. I'm your host, Anthony Ryden, and today we are covering the color shifters from Vallejo, 4D color shifter from TurboDork, and some of my chameleon flakes. They're from Tech Silker, and they're pretty fun. They're a little bit of the extra bit that I'm going to show you at the end of the video, how to accent these color shifters. As you can see, here's one that I use just the color shifter, one of my favorite ones from the Vallejo brand, and here's some of the Chaos Slaves to Darkness that I'll be using as my models. I'm going to be painting their shields to just show you a display of what each of these color shifters can do, how to correctly apply them, and just to show you what I do when I use these color shifters, just to make them more interesting, have more of a depth, and kind of to get away with less so that you don't have to work so hard. So what we're going to use is a silicone brush type thing. You can get them in a lot of sculpting kits. They just have non-stick edges, so it's easier to apply. So when we do the chameleon flakes, it's going to make it a lot easier. And then here are our brushes. I'm going to mostly use some smaller 0s to 1 brushes. And then here is our TurboDork 4D glasses. I managed to snag the last one on Amazon. And when we pour it out, I'm going to show you the consistency. This one is quite a bit thicker than the other brands that I use, or Vallejo rather, which was quite interesting. Now this does make it a little bit easier to see that it's working. It is not an airbrush consistency unlike the other color shifters. You don't need to use an airbrush. They still work fine as long as you have a black background. I believe that you still need a black. I think you need it primed black beforehand no matter. But when you apply these color shifters, make sure you prime your model black so that you can get a result like this. Now you can see it's a little bit streaky, but that's alright. Kind of gives you this like reflective image and kind of makes it a little bit more fun to look at. And that 4D glasses is quite nice. It's quite similar to this turquoise violet, or there's one other one I'll show you later that it's quite similar to. But as you can see, this Vallejo brand, a lot runnier. It's the air model, so it doesn't pool as much, and it's not as hard or not as thick of a consistency. I kind of prefer it just because I can get into all the small cracks and recesses as I need, and I don't have to worry about thinning it at all. And it still covers quite nicely. You do have to worry about the pooling, as anything that is watery, if it pools, will leave kind of a weird consistency. So do just make sure as you apply it, you start spreading around like I am here, just to make sure there aren't too many pools causing problems. Now we're just going to go around, and I really like this color. It goes from the blue to the fuchsia, I believe. It's quite fun. It's you can see it a little bit more in the light than the other colors, and this one's pretty great, honestly. This was my favorite. If you also like it, maybe you could like and subscribe, and maybe you could come check out the channel. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be hitting that night lancer with some cosmic nebulas, and maybe hit that notification bell so you can see it. It's going to take me a little longer to make that video, but I assure you it's coming, and it's going to be great. Alright, here's the light violet green from the shifter family from Vallejo. Now this one is interesting. It comes out and it's quite warm looking. It's like a little bit of a reddish, or I don't even know what to call that hue. But it's quite an interesting hue, but it's not going to come out that way, so don't worry. And we're just going to lay this on, and every single one of these colors, you just want to put it over a black primer. I know most colors, you try to put it over something lighter so you can see it better, and if it's black, then you put a lot of layers. It's the opposite reaction from color shifters. You really just want to use a black primer and lightly coat over and try to make it as clean of a layer as you can, because using 2 layers or 2 thin coats on color shifters doesn't work as well as you'd want it to. You just have to try to apply this layer as evenly as you can the first time around, and if you can't, don't worry about it. It's not so bad. You can go over with some black and then relayer it, but it's better just to try to get it your first time, because as I said, once you layer, you leave a consistency, and once you leave too many consistencies, then you start to leave textures, and it kind of looks weird. So here's the next one in our brand, the shifters, the emerald green to mauve. And this one's a pretty fun one. It's kind of the same color spectrum when poured out, a little lighter. So here we're just going to be using this on on this guy right here with a lot of bolts. That will be a little bit of fun. It's going to be kind of a greenish look, so I'm planning on using some of the chameleon flakes I have that are green to accent this one. As you can see, you just do the same thing. You're just going to apply it to the areas where you want the color shifter to be. So I'm using mostly the metal plating areas, not the gold, like the gold inlay or the gold arrows, the sigils. I'm going to make those all gold, or maybe silver would accent it better, whatever your preference is. But leave those out so you can accent the color shifters a bit better, give it a frame. Most art pieces always look better in a frame. That's why we edge highlight. That's why when you do your hair, you do your bangs, or you you frame your face. It's just, or if you put a picture in a frame, it makes the picture look better. You always want to leave something out so you can frame it. I just helped someone on Reddit earlier. They were painting their tabard and they were upset because it looked really nice, but they couldn't get the separation they needed, and that gold makes a great separation between these type of colors. Now here's our next color shifter. As you can see, it kind of seems the same. This one kind of squirted out a little bit hardcore. But you're just going to apply this to the same places. The dark areas, evenly as you can, using small strokes, moving that puddle wherever you see it forming, evening it out along the surface. These shields are great ways to just practice with these. They have, every one of these Slaves to Darkness have these really cool shields, and the cool thing about them is these shields give them mortal wound saves, so they're like magic shields, so that even fits the theme a bit better. So they even are supposed to be made of something a little bit more chaotic, helps them protect them from magic and whatnot. So this is a great way to just portray that and give them a little bit of a different feel than most of the normal. It's just something different than NMM or TMM. Just to give you something more fun and easy, because this is really just one layer after black, and most times when you paint you use black. So here we go, our Vallejo shifter green gold cold blue. Now this one's a really fun one, and as you can see it comes out pretty white, which is interesting. I'm going to assume that's the green and the gold neutralizing each other out a bit. But here you can see I'm going to put on this skull shield, and I really enjoy this color. I'm going to use the chameleon flakes as well. I have the green color in there, and I think I'm going to use another chameleon flake as well to accent the eyes on the skull. And like I said, you want to frame it, so leave everything outside of it, the gold frame of the shield, leave it alone. That way you can accent your color shifters. And then when there's things like teeth, like on this shield, definitely paint that in something else so that it pops. So I'm going to use gold, make it pop, because green and gold really go well together. So here we have dark green tin from Vallejo Shifters. This one's quite fun. This one's probably the only one that looks exactly how it's going to lay. So you're just going to put this around, and this is going to be a very heavy dark green metallic look. And it's quite fun, quite nice, and quite simple. So generally, I like to accent this one also with the chameleon flakes, just to make it more entertaining. Or I'll use it on certain things, like actually on bug skin. It makes a quite interesting look if you don't cover the entire model in this stuff. If you do like half of the model in this color shifter and half in like a green and black, then it starts to shift the color without shifting the color on the bottom, and then it shifts color with the actual paint on the top, so it makes a really interesting look. And as you can see, this is what it looks like when it's kind of all done. I'm going to give you a little side-by-side of all of the colors. So here's our turquoise violet. Quite fun, kind of like the 4D glasses, maybe a little bit more vibrant, less on the turquoise side. The 4D glasses tend to shift more towards the turquoise. Now the light violet green looks quite nice, has a really deep richness, but kind of stays in one area. The emerald green mauve really shifts quite well. I quite like how that shifts in the light. And the green silver blue. Now this one doesn't quite shift too much, but it's a very pretty color and it accents well with gold. Green gold cold blue. Now look at that. That is beautiful. I suggest that one for any of your greens. In dark green tin, if you want a very green armor, this is a very good one. And then bug shells. Very fun. So here we go. Our tech silker. Now it's very hard to see, but this is blue to fuchsia. Now blue to fuchsia, when we use these chameleon flakes, it's going to be a little hard, so you try to figure out which colors it goes with. Now, blue to fuchsia goes with turquoise to violet. It goes with this 4D glasses pretty well. And then he kind of goes, pretty much just look at the color spectrum. If it says blue to fuchsia, then you're looking for blues to purples. Light violet to green is a little bit off, but I figure we could try it. And we're going to start off with our first subject from the blue violet. And in order to apply these chameleon flakes, you're going to want this brilliant shine gloss or some kind of medium to apply it. I have it in my my palette right there. And we're just going to use a little bit of that, mix it, put it onto the model, or mix it in with the silk as it's on the brush. Don't put it back into the into the chameleon flakes, because that will ruin the chameleon flakes in the pot. Just make sure that you pull it out, put the gloss on the brush with the chameleon flakes on it, and then put on the shield. So here you can see I'm going to put it kind of towards the top, giving it kind of like a highlight edge, so it has more of a shift as you look at it from the top, and then it has its normal color shifter color going in towards the inside of the shield. It's going to give it more of an interesting look, give it more depth, and just more of a magic-y type feel. Now this stuff does get quite messy, as you can see it floating around, so make sure to just, don't breathe in too heavily. Now this stuff isn't really toxic or anything, you don't have to worry about it, but it isn't fun to breathe in. It can make you cough for a while. I got one stuck in my throat and didn't feel very good. So make sure to don't breathe in too hard, and maybe wear a mask while you're doing this. But they do leave a really cool color. They do leave texture. So this should be the last step of whatever you're doing. If you're going to do anything else with this shield on that metal part, don't do the chameleon flakes till after. You want to do this at the very end, because this leaves texture. It's not fun to paint over afterwards. It looks really nice at the very end, and you need to coat it with the gloss or like a varnish. That way it doesn't come up. But there you can see it adds this rich, deep blue to our lighter blue color shifter. And this one I'm going to go with the opposite approach. So we're going with more of a dark inside of the shield, and we're going to go light towards the outside. And I kind of switched my mind. I went to the top, went downwards, making it more volume from top to bottom. Either way, it was quite fun. This is this Technicolor right here, the chameleon flake, the blue to fuchsia, is a really fun one. You can use it for a lot of space colors, a lot of sky colors, just to really accent those deep blues and purples. Now here, this one's really hard to see. I'm gonna try to figure out which one this is. I believe it is the green to fuchsia. So we're going to use these color shifters right here and see how well that works. Now on this shield, we're going to try putting the chameleon flakes on each of these little pins that come out, or these little horns that come out of the shield, but these are not precision. This is not precision equipment. So I gave up on that and decided to just coat the shield with some of the chameleon flake. Now this is a very easy part of the process. I'm taking a long time to show you each shield, but really this is just quite literally grab some gloss, put on where you want on the shield, put the chameleon flakes there, you're done. It's really quite easy. Less is more, honestly. I'm just putting more on these shields just to show you what it truly looks like. Now that one was it's quite hard to see, I'm sorry, the blue-green to yellow chameleon flake. Now that one's fun. It can really work well for putting it on this model. And it makes it kind of look like a jadey type look. But then this blue, green to yellow, I couldn't really find much to do for it, so I decided to put this inside the eyes, just to give it a different glow within the eyes, but still have like a different color reflector on the top of the skull, just to give some separation between the inside of the eye sockets and the skull itself. Now it's not very easy to see right here, I'm sorry about that, but basically you're going to try to just scooch that glitter till it's inside the skull. It's quite easy to work with, it doesn't stick till basically you leave it alone for too long. So as long as you just put it on there, you can work with it. Now this is the silver red to green, and I'm just using this on the dark green tin. Now this one was kind of a hard one to find, but I figured this one's probably the best one because just a very bright green with this very heavy green color shifter, and I do believe it works out quite nice. There you go, it gives it more volume, a little bit brighter towards the top and the bottom, giving you this middle section, just making things more interesting. Oh, what do you think? This is the color shifter tutorial. I'm glad you've been here with us. Here's a little view of everything we've done, and if you liked what we've done today, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel, helps me do what I love to do to help you guys and find more things to make our models better. And maybe hit that notification bell. I'm going to be doing the Night Lancer next, and that is going to take some time. I'm going to make a really cool base. I'm going to make him destroying a dreadnought and going through some building because he does a really cool charge damage ability. So, and we're going to make him a nebula effect, color shifters as well. So if you'd like to see that and tag along and witness what this monstrous creation is going to be, please come join us and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like about this episode, and what you'd like to see in the next ones to come. And I hope we helped you break your painter's block today. And have a great day.